really honored to be here today with half of the team, I guess, from Sommelier Finance. Some familiar faces that you've already seen here on my channel. We have Jack in the house, we have Zaki, but we also have a new person here with Taariq. So I think we don't need to make deep introductions, but maybe we can start off with, I don't know, one of you can choose to walk us through the origin story of Sommelier. Obviously, we already know that you all have like years of experience in Cosmos and Cosmos core technologies things, but maybe walk us through what is the kind of like origin story and how did Sommelier come up in the first place?
Okay, yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. So the way I would sort of portray the origin story of Sommelier is what we wanted, what I've wanted to do is build a community around the Ethereum bridge technology. Cosmos EVM interoperability has been sort of this effort that has been it's actually been going on for a very long time. It was like it was something I worked on with Fede when Fede was an intern at Tendermint back in like 2018. And so we've been trying to get this bridge technology up and running for quite some time. But bridges are hard and bridges are really complicated. And bridges needed a community. And I felt like the bridge did not have really a community around it of different use cases, different actors, all of these things that are needed to make the bridge technology really. So we started doing, we started getting more involved. We created this entity called Peggy JV. Between Occlusion and Althea, and we started investing more and more energy into the bridge technology. And what has come out of, what came out of that was this idea of building Sommelier, which is really an idea I've had for several years, and was sort of waiting for the DeFi ecosystem to get more, to get mature enough to support it, which is this idea of using the Cosmos stack. Not just as a traditional layer one, but as like a management layer, which manages liquidity on multiple chains. And so like, why does your liquidity need to be managed? And I would say that like why your liquidity needs to be managed was not really obvious to people until we got started. And then people saw Uniswap V3 and concentrated liquidity. And that sort of started to give people the idea of why does liquidity need to be managed? Because in next generation DeFi protocols, it's not simply just going to be enough for the user to like lock up, to just provide their tokens, lock up their liquidity, and earn their yield. The protocol is going to be asking users to sort of make decisions about price ranges and strike prices on options and all of these things, which makes the life for the farmer a lot more complex. And what they need is help. What they need is guidance. And so, the idea of sommelier and the resonance and with the name is a sommelier is, a person who helps you choose your wine with a meal, who provides that expertise. And what the vision of sommelier is a Cosmos chain that provides access to expertise, access to people who to sort of data feeds that will manage your liquidity, but makes it available to the common person so that anyone has access to this sort of liquidity management solution. So what we've been building is a number of different things that we call sellers, and sellers are different manage liquidity. So like you could have a seller that like tries to optimize yield on a Uniswap V3 parameter by periodically rebalancing and moving your liquidity from ticks to ticks, optimizing for yield. You could have a seller for Aave. You could have a seller for Osmosis. We can have sellers across different protocols that all provide the sort of managed liquidity functionality, which is the core of the sommelier vision.
Awesome, yeah, and I think also Jack said this a couple of weeks ago when I had him on for the trilogy that it's basically the core is to make it easy to bridge liquidity, especially from Ethereum. You're also kind of like betting on Ethereum to be this predominant DeFi ecosystem in the next at least year or 2 or 3. Can you explain, maybe Jack, in very simple terms, or Taariq, either of you, what is the core benefit for any newbie crypto DeFi user who just joined the table and who just joined this industry and is like, man, I have some, some money in ETH, I have some money here in this ERC20 token or whatever, even in Atom, but I want to put it to work for me. What is the core benefit that this person would have through Sommelier?
Yeah, one thing I do want to add on to the Sommelier origin story before I answer that question. We had talked a lot about different use cases for the bridge, and there was one day where Taariq and Zaki and I walked through UC Berkeley, and we were like, okay, managed liquidity, how would this work? And we sat down and kind of talked the whole thing out. To me, that was kind of the birth of Sommelier in some ways. But
Absolutely.
As far as as far as what benefits does it offer? A lot of these financial products that are being built in DeFi right now are increasingly complex and really hard for new users to understand. And one of the things that we loved about Uniswap V2 was that you can kind of like put your liquidity in, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to service trades with this liquidity. And it's this really relatively simple conceptual thing. What we're trying to do with Sommelier is provide an easy way to do that, an easy way to get yield, an easy way to be a market maker as an average individual, without some of the risk. Having the protocol sort of follow best practices and do all of the automation for you helps level you up as a liquidity provider very, very quickly. And I think that's kind of the key benefit that we're looking to deliver here.
So the idea is basically, right now the model of DeFi is you put your tokens in, but you also do the work. And the work can be, everything from, every morning when it's morning in the US, when your osmosis rewards come in, figuring out how you're gonna reallocate. It could be picking what tick ranges you're going to do as, the ETH price changes every day. And what Sommelier's benefit is instead of you doing the work, the validators do the work. When we launch a seller for a given DeFi protocol, what we're doing is we're enabling the validators to do the work on behalf of users of ensuring that their liquidity is in the right place, that their position continues to be optimal.
And I guess they do that where in a way that users can predefine whatever risk they want to take. Is that correct? And also like basically automate their strategies and say, hey, I want to take a higher risk and rotate more often and have this automatic rebalancing of my portfolio. Is that how it works, or how? What options do I have?
So each seller we have this concept. So like you have a different seller, and as these sellers launch, sellers coming shortly. As sellers launch, each seller will have like a given strategy. So by putting your funds in the strategy, into a seller, you're gonna follow the strategy that all the other users in that seller are following.
Okay, and maybe if we zoom a little bit out, you already said this last time when you were on, Zaki, that there's now different variations of the gravity bridge that come out. Sommelier is one of them. Then you have injective. You have the gravity. What is it? The gravity bridge itself.
Yep.
The new chain.
You have
right?
LPS Cosmos Gravity Bridge.
Stiff chain. They have another version of it. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of like bridging landscape, FMOS, which previously was called Ethermint? Can you talk a little bit about kind of like the bridging landscape and what model of bridge Sommelier is applying?
Yeah. So, Jack, do you have some thoughts there?
Yeah, I do. I think that with IBC, Cosmos has been designed from the ground up as a bridging technology from day one. And I think some of the best and most exciting bridge work that's going on is happening in Cosmos, just by far. And if we look at all of these different versions of the gravity bridge, what we're seeing is slight variations on the same architecture. And I think one of the things that it really speaks to is the massive amount of very high quality talent that we have in this ecosystem, that's able to take this core technology, tinker with it, and provide something very specific for their use case. Injective and stiff, or two that you mentioned, they've made modifications to the bridge. So is Althea, and so is Som. And that's in a large part because of the huge amount of engineering talent that is behind these projects. And one of the things that is common between those bridges is the architecture. And I think that that's just important.
So I'll say that the approach to bridging that Cosmos is taking is pretty unique in the blockchain ecosystem, because most ecosystems are sort of conceiving of themselves as building sort of there's one bridge to Ethereum. You have Avalanche. Avalanche has sort of one sort of blessed bridge that is the bridge to Ethereum between the Avalanche ecosystem and the Ethereum ecosystem. The Cosmos vision has always been we provide reusable tools to sovereign zones, and that we all innovate together. And so the Gravity Bridge should not be sort of understood as being one bridge, that there will be one blessed Cosmos bridge. There may be one bridge that becomes the dominant bridge for bridge tokens. There might be one bridge, but we already have multiple entry points for ERC, Ethereum assets into the IBC ecosystem. So that interface is already pretty dynamic. And so what we expect instead is bridges to be used to sort of provide application specific interfaces for given use cases. So, the SOM use case is not really focused on bridging tokens. What we are really talking about is bridging data from the validator set to the Ethereum and doing execution of sort of DeFi trades, essentially. Yeah, I mean, doing trade execution on behalf of users for the different sellers via the bridge. The fact that we also have token transfers is sort of incidental and maybe part of future user experiences, but our core functionality that we're focused on is this execution piece. If you look at someone the Cosmos Gravity Bridge, their particular interest is bridging tokens to Cosmos DeFi, and that's their focus. And I think you're going to see a lot of different focuses from a lot of different teams bridging different assets. I wouldn't be surprised to see an NFT focused bridge sort of start to emerge from this technology as well. It's very flexible. And we are investing in sort of a common infrastructure layer between multiple projects, various teams submitting bugs upstream to the different Gravity implementations. There is this sort of shared knowledge base that is being built, and we're hoping that gives rise to a very dynamic ecosystem that is sort of unique in the bridging space.
Yeah, and I think when I met Jack for the first time early January this year, we were still pre-IBC time, and now we see all these application-specific chains going live in products for also real users, and Osmosis is absolutely killing it. Now SIFT-Chain, Sommelier around the corner, Umi in the works. I think also we can talk about this in a second at Cosmoverse in Lisbon here. We're going to be all reunited and tap into the entirety of the ecosystem here.
I mean, I think what you've done with Cosmoverse and the Cosmoverse team is just really unique and extraordinary because, no one, so the first thing is no one from the Cosmos sort of, core organizations of the Interchain Foundation or AIB or anyone organized this. It was all organized sort of ground up from community members. And what we have, what the other thing that's so exciting is the entire community is bought into it, every major Cosmos project is coming to Lisbon. And that I think it's just really just again, we do things differently in Cosmos. We do bridges differently. We interface with other ecosystems differently. We are not, the killer of anyone's ecosystem. Cosmos has always been about, doing something unique and value additive and sort of ground up innovation. And we, that spirit is alive and well.
Yeah, really appreciate the kind words and also the early support from all of you, especially also from Jack, but also from the Sommelier team to also be part of the conference and also be a sponsor of the conference. So that's really amazing. Can't wait to meet everyone here. Taariq, before our call, you already teased a little bit that now is a very pivotal time for Sommelier. So can you talk about a little bit maybe the timeline, what's coming next? I think you have a couple of big announcements, and obviously everyone is asking me when airdrop.
You know, and as the community should fairly ask when airdrop. But to answer that question, we've encouraged the community to engage on community.sommelier.finance. It's our governance publishing platform. It's our community where folks can essentially suggest ideas, and we really want to thank all the early users of the Sommelier app at app.sommelier.finance. We've had over $10 million in liquidity used on the app, and the sommeliers have reaped over $2 million in fee revenue, as well as token appreciation in as little as 3 months. That success, and again, really speaking to Zaki's and Jack's vision about how best to use the Cosmos for it, we're super excited to have the first proposals coming live to the Sommelier network. So, you know, if folks are when token, come on down to the Sommelier community, tell us what, and maybe make a proposal. We're like telling folks, we really want folks to make proposals. We want this to be driven by the community and to be organic. But one of the great news is, due to the success of essentially Sommelier and the Gravity Bridge and Sommelier launching, Sommelier is pleased to announce that coming up, we'll be announcing our mainnet round, successfully closed. Zaki and Jack were instrumental in bringing this to reality, and really successful to win a new round of funding.
Taariq, I can't hear you say that. I can't hear you say that. Taariq, you were really instrumental to that. Don't sell yourself short on that one.
I'm just a goat herder. The greatest of all times are here, and I just heard the greatest of all time. So we're really proud to announce that we have a mainnet round closed, $23 million with lead investor Polychain, which means that there is more coming for the Sommelier community, and sellers are launching, and we're super excited to bring that. And I think, to Jack's point, sellers and our bridges are going to be IBC and Ethereum based. So any EVM and any IBC chain will be part of the Sommelier network. So super excited to see that come together. So congrats to all, and special congrats to the Sommelier community who used Sommelier ahead of the chain, and now will be using Sommelier post-chain, post-sellers.
Yeah, that's great news and really awesome. What's the team size, by the way, right now? Because I think also, Zaki, you said earlier, Federico Kunze is also part of the team. How many people are you right now?
You know, we've always sort of built this thing as like this is a loose collaboration of a number of different entities who are contributing different talents, and you know, that's another thing. You know, it's kind of in the weeds, but like, you know, we don't all work for the same you know, organization. We have this like distributed organizational structure that has a lot of different contributors. So it's a little bit tough to answer the question, how big is the team? Because it's not like we go to like one HR page and are like, okay, like how many people are we are working on this today? But it's about, you know, 15, 20 people, I would say, are probably full-time contributors right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I think also in a similar fashion, Juno was also kind of like a joint effort from different companies that are already deep in the Cosmos ecosystem. I think they also did a head start.
You know, I think like this is again the unique thing about Cosmos, right? Is like the CosmWasm technology came out of sort of the last big Cosmos conference, Interchain Conversations. It was a hackathon project, and then, you know, organically spread throughout our ecosystem with both Secret and Terra adopting it. And now you have, you know, with CosmWasm 1.0, you know, Archway, I think, was announced yesterday. There are like probably, you know, half a dozen chains targeting different communities, all using the same technology base. And so as the bridge technology continues to evolve and improve, and we continue to invest in it, you know, what the community should expect is that there is going to be this ever evolving ecosystem of sort of EVM Cosmos interactions that result in new products. And we think Sommelier is obviously one of the most exciting and one most compelling ones of those. but we have to, we continue to proceed for, like there's going to be so many different, instances of this sort of bridging technology aiming at different use cases.
I think one of the things that Zaki just said there really resonates with me is we're talking a lot about how we kind of do things differently in Cosmos, how Sommelier is really already a DAO, where there's a bunch of different organizations contributing. Like, there's a lot of discussion and sort of thought leadership around DAOs and other ecosystems, but it's really rare to see people actually operating that way. I can name a dozen organizations and tokens in Cosmos that operate as DAOs in practice. And like, I think that really sets us apart from other ecosystems because we are really like walking this decentralized walk, and it has huge benefits. And I think people are really catching up to that.
Yeah, I agree. And
and so just to kind of jump on top of that. Yeah. So, we, as Taariq has been talking about, we are, the way that, basically, everyone who holds the token right now, all of the founders, all of their liquidity is locked up. So, when tokens get into the market, it is going to be in this sort of community-driven way that is going to slowly, that is going to expand the DAO. And what we are doing is we are very rapidly transitioning from, the Zaki dictatorship era of Sommelier, which was like the formation era, now into this community-driven era, which is, what the mainnet really symbolizes for us.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to Jack's point. I think you see this in so many Cosmos-based projects. Even if you just look at the Cosmoverse conference, I mean, it's partially now sponsored and made possible through DAO proposals, right? We made one on-chain proposal on Osmosis DAO, and then also through the community funds that also Jack put together on a proposal a couple of months ago. So those things are amazing. And I think in the future, we're going to see much more than that. I'm not aware of other ecosystems that do so many like different things on chain through the community, and everyone is kind of involved in it. I think that's absolutely amazing. Before I let you all go, because I know you're busy catching flights to Lisbon, I have two questions from the community. I put this tweet out this morning. I think everyone is a bit busy right now. Two questions, I think also a bit more general questions about Cosmos in general. I don't know, whoever wants to take that one. Tycop fan is asking, how are your bridges not going to destroy the economics of the Atom token? And in that context, maybe you can also expand a little bit on what value Sommelier might bring for the Cosmos Hub, for Atom, and for broader IBC adoption or whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can tackle that. So one of the things, the questions are really what are these different pieces? So as we said, like the vision of Sommelier is not to be a general purpose token bridge. We are not going to provide any sort of incentives or anything just for bridging tokens into the IBC ecosystem. Everything is going to be focused on bringing users to sellers, and the validators as execution. One of the things that I think the other things that Sommelier is doing from an IBC point of view is there's this technology in IBC called Interchain Accounts, which is really the application, the IBC application after token transfers, that has gotten the most work and has been like one of the biggest efforts as kind of like expanding beyond. And it's basically this idea that one Cosmos validator set can act as an account on another Cosmos chain by IBC. So you could have, the Sommelier validator set actually acting as a liquidity provider via Interchain Accounts on Osmosis, on TIFF chain, as the Interchain Accounts protocol gets. So one of the things that Sommelier really wants to do is be sort of a flagship use case for Interchain Accounts.
Just one thing to add on to that, Zaki. And this Interchain Accounts functionality is essentially the same thing that we're using over on Ethereum. And what this does is it replaces multi-sigs for DAOs with something that's vastly more capable and actually decentralized. all of these multi-sigs that control huge contracts on things like Ethereum and all of the EVM-based chains, that is a huge regulatory and centralization risk. And the way that people are dealing with it right now is like by becoming anonymous and by trying to make these projects less attackable from a regulatory perspective. Another way to do that is through actual decentralization with a validator set, which is something that we kind of pioneered. And what these technologies, both the Ethereum bridge and Interchain Accounts do, is allow a validator set to take many more actions than just running a blockchain. It allows that validator set to become an active actor in the physical pipes of the interchain. And that is like one of the things that we're doubling down on at Sommelier, and one of the things that I think is kind of a fundamental innovation to come out of Cosmos.
Yeah, I've also seen you're pretty vocal about that on Twitter. Also, I think these recent debates with the Torchain guys, because they have a different structure, and they were like, yeah, I don't know about IBC and this and that. But yeah, Zaki, go ahead. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, and then like when it comes back to this question of whether or not there is any sort of competition with the Atom value proposition, I tend to view, the core value proposition of Atom as, as a custodian as a place where you can store your tokens, not just Atoms, but tokens on other chains. In Cosmos, as potentially like one of the most integrated, best and like Sommelier is much more, like Atom has to be the move slow and keep things stable chain of the Cosmos ecosystem that provides sort of the maximum amount of social consensus and the maximum amount of integrations. Things like Sommelier, as a result, can be sort of much more like, test and production chains, which is very much the approach to R&D that Sommelier is taking. We are definitely taking more risk in terms of, chain stability, launching new protocols, all of these things. And so I don't view Atom and Sommelier as really being competitive at all. They are very much, both like large portions of my personal portfolio and sort of independent use cases.
In that context, I get this question a lot. There was recently an interview from Gavin Wood about Polkadot, and he was asked about comparing Cosmos to Polkadot, and he was a bit, I don't know, like you could hear out that he was like not really convinced of the model that Cosmos applies, having these sovereign blockchains. I think he was concerned about the security of those chains. Can you talk a little bit about that and address that from a kind of like Cosmos perspective? Because a lot of people have asked me that over the past weeks since that came out.
Okay, so here's the way I like to think about it: is let's put it in like the terms that like we understand now as in like the post DeFi era, which is like if you're going to get rug pulled, who's going to do the rug pull? Is really what these security questions come down to. Like how are you going to get rug pulled, and who's going to do the rug pull? I would say the way the Polkadot model works is if you're going to get rug pulled, it's going to be at the application layer, not at the chain layer. Like they really restrict, how many chains there can be, how many people can be connected, how many people can be part of the ecosystem. They require you to build up like a huge amount of capital in order to get into this ecosystem in the first place. So if there's going to be rug pulls, it's going to be like at a higher application layer. Like it's not going to be the NFT chain itself. It's going to be, some NFT on top of the chain. But at the end of the day, you still get rug pulled. Cosmos is very much more like a wild west model, right? When a chain connects to IBC, you don't know, you don't independently know, the protocol doesn't tell you, hey, like only chains that have hundreds of millions of dollars of market capitalization are allowed to connect to Cosmos. A chain that is run by 2 people can connect to the Cosmos hub, and you can move atoms or other chains, other valuable tokens onto it. Like, there is no constraint. And this is very similar to any sort of smart contract chain, where anyone can put a smart contract on the chain, and you don't know whether or not that smart contract is really trustworthy, any chain can connect to Cosmos, and it's on the user to figure out whether or not the chain is trustworthy. But what we have always expected to happen, and seems to be playing out in the Cosmos ecosystem, is, you see a overlapped sets of validators behind some of like the bigger chains in Cosmos. There are a lot of shared validators between Terra and Secret and Osmosis and the Cosmos Hub. And so users can have a great deal of trust in that environment. And there is really no functional limit in the number of chains that trustworthy validators can run. So, will people lose money in like sending their funds and, interacting with chains that have a validator set that is purely malicious? Almost certainly, in the same way that people are always going to lose money sending money to some smart contract that takes their money and doesn't give what it was promising. And that is the nature of a permissionless ecosystem. But like, as we've seen, permissionless ecosystems like smart contract ecosystems are just enormous creators of innovations. They're enormous factories for innovation. And unlike any other ecosystem, we are the only ecosystem that gives permissionless bridging, allows permissionless bridging to exist. And the vision of that is always like that enables a just faster and faster degree of innovation. The reality is that we've seen the blockchain ecosystem prefer speed of innovation over security time and time again, and so we think that model has better product market fit.
Application level rug pulls, very easy and happen all the time. Chain level rug pulls, correct. We have yet to see one.
But yep. We will. I am 100% sure we will.
Oh, I rug pulled myself when I tested out the gravity DEX. I got some tokens. I got some tokens stuck on a chain that I was running one validator for, and I couldn't get them off, so I just shut the chain down. I mean, it was like $5, but.
Awesome. Yeah, but makes sense. And I think, Gavin, if you're watching this, maybe you should think about, I don't know, implementing IBC or joining the Cosmos community.
The wonderful thing about IBC is that we don't need Gavin's permission to bring IBC to Polkadot. The Octopus Network team has just been doing like really phenomenal, enormously high effort work connecting IBC, like making an IBC module for Substrate. And that work has been continuing and has made enormous progress. And it's very likely, probably sometime next year that we will see IBC connecting to Polkadot, whether Gavin wants to or not.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, Jack, we talked about this also a couple of weeks ago, and I thought about this a bit, and it heavily affects the whole architecture of Polkadot, right? Because in the first place, the core value proposition is for the relay chain to kind of like be the security source. But once you pack IBC to it, and then interchain security ships on the Cosmos Hub, I think there's different ways for projects that primarily launch on Substrate to accelerate their time to market. So very interesting stuff here.
Not only that, it opens up different markets to them too. In the DOT ecosystem, you have you have a very specific set of projects with a very specific amount of liquidity. But if you can connect via IBC, that opens up this much broader interchain.
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of potential parachain candidates or founders of projects that really want to get a space there and slot there, but it's just incredibly hard, and you have to have literally tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars to even be, in the conversation for that. So, yeah, I think we can wrap it up with some final thoughts about Lisbon. I think you all coming. What do you expect? Is there anything that you're gonna announce? And yeah, what are your thoughts? You also have some Sommelier boat things going on, right? So can you talk about that a little bit?
Why don't you talk about the events, Taariq?
Yeah, so we have, I think, the 3 major events, right? So we are October 21st, which is in 2 days. It will be the VIP, wine and beer party for sommeliers and folks in Lisbon. And it is very limited. We don't have a lot of space. So folks should definitely RSVP as quickly as they can on our website, sommelier.finance. And we have a fine selection of wonderful wine and beer for those who are in Lisbon. And then after that, on November 3rd, we'll be hosting a governance party where there will be more sipping going on. So we'll have sommelier improvement proposals going live on November 3rd, and we'll be at a beautiful location. And after which we celebrate, there'll be full dinner event, again, very limited, so folks should definitely ping us. And I think we're gonna have a DJ and some dancing after we do governance. So it'll be governance, dinner, and then dancing. It'll be GDD, good, good, good. And then of course, after that, we'll be at the Cosmoverse where both Jack and Zaki will be speaking at that event. It'll be awesome to hear more about Sommelier and more what's coming in the Cosmos ecosystem as well as Sommelier ecosystem. It's gonna be great. People should go to them all. And I think we're also doing a finality party on November 6th. It's called Fast Finality. It will be with Acceler and Agoric. It'll be on a rooftop, more drinking, dancing, and governance celebration. So some of the leading chains in the Cosmos, and we love the Agoric folks as well, that took lead in this, will be making it happen.
The real question is the city of Lisbon prepared for this? Like a month of blockchain people just everywhere.
It is. We've been all, there. I know some other event organizers. I'm here since May, so I moved here, and we've all been working hard on everything and also coordinating cross, events. There's going to be a lot of drinking, a lot of dancing over the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's already starting. I mean, some friends are flying in, content creators and YouTubers. I already meet them up here. So it's going to be crazy. I think I'll also probably do less videos over the next 4 or 5 weeks, simply because I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah, we're all going to be struggling to get anything done.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be incredibly productive and also amazing to meet you all. I mean, we have never met in person, so I'm looking forward to meet all of you. And we'll leave the links for all the Sommelier parties under this video so that everybody can RSVP. Is there any final thing that anybody of you wants to share?
No.
About Sommelier?
Join governance. Definitely come and participate in our governance.
Yeah, maybe
30% of our allocation is assigned to the community. It's one of the biggest allocations that are going through the community. Come be part of governance and get tokens.
Awesome. Yeah, and Cryptocito, I just want to say thank you for uniting the Cosmos behind this event. This is the first time we're all going to get together since Interchain Berlin, which was over 2 years ago. So we're all super stoked.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's my pleasure. And this got really big over the past 4 or 5 weeks. I'm sleeping less and less every day, but people are hitting me up, and there's still a list of 10 or 15 projects that apply to speak. They want to get involved, but it's simply, I haven't even gotten a chance to respond because it's just overwhelming. But yeah, thanks everyone for jumping in. I hope people who listen to this and saw this get some value out of this. Hit up Jack and Zaki and Taariq on Twitter if you would like to learn more. And yeah, we'll see you guys in Lisbon. Take care.
See you in Lisbon.
Cryptocito. Thank you, Cryptocito. See you in Lisbon.